Hello, everyone. In this video, we'll discuss five key topics, including risk management, the balanced scorecard, scenario planning, change management, and PPPs. Each of these topics is interconnected, offering essential tools for effective governance and public sector management. These concepts will help us better understand how to plan, assess risks, and manage partnerships. Risk management and public administration begins with identifying and assessing risks. Public sector projects like infrastructure developments often face both internal and external risks. Internally, budget constraints or staffing issues can disrupt operations. Externally, political changes, legal challenges, and environmental risks can further complicate matters. For example, in a large infrastructure project like building a new highway, risks such as funding issues or environmental concerns need to be assessed early. Identifying risks upfront allows administrators to develop strategies to address them before they escalate. After identifying risks, the next step is to mitigate them. Two common techniques are risk matrices and SWOT analysis. A risk matrix helps prioritize risks based on their likelihood and impact. High likelihood, high impact risks should be addressed immediately, while lower priority risks can be managed later. A SWOT analysis, on the other hand, gives a comprehensive view of internal strengths and weaknesses, as well as external opportunities and threats. This allows public administrators to develop more rounded mitigation strategies. In a construction project, for example, a risk matrix might highlight material shortages as high priority risks, while a SWOT analysis could reveal opportunities to engage with local communities. To ensure risks are effectively managed, public sector organizations use structured frameworks. The ISO standard provides guidelines that embed risk management into all aspects of decision making, ensuring risks are not managed in isolation but as part of the overall governance strategy. The COSO framework goes even further by integrating risk management with governance, compliance, and accountability measures, making it particularly useful for public sector organizations that need to meet legal and regulatory standards. The balanced scorecard is a valuable tool for measuring public sector performance. In the public sector, performance is not only about financial results but also service delivery quality, internal processes, and organizational growth. The balanced scorecard focuses on four key perspectives, such as financial, customer or stakeholder satisfaction, internal process efficiency, and learning and growth. By balancing these perspectives, public sector organizations can have a more complete understanding of their performance and ensure that they meet their service delivery goals. To develop a balanced scorecard, public sector needs to identify key performance indicators or KPIs. Let's take the transportation system as an example. Financial KPIs might include cost per passenger, while customer KPIs could involve satisfaction levels. Internal process KPIs would track response times to complaints or issues, and learning and growth KPIs could measure staff training and development. These indicators allow organizations to continuously track performance and adjust their strategies to improve services. Scenario planning is all about preparing for future uncertainties. In public sector, uncertainties could come from political shifts, economic changes, or new technology. By asking what if questions, public administrators can prepare for a range of possible outcomes. For example, how would a local government respond to a sudden economic downturn? Or how would they adapt to new regulations? Scenario planning enables flexibility and helps public organizations prepare for different futures. Developing multiple future scenarios helps public administrators plan for various situations. For instance, in disaster preparedness, a government could plan for best case, worst case, and most likely scenarios. In the best case scenario, a minor earthquake might cause minimal damage, while the worst case scenario might involve a major disaster requiring a full scale emergency response. Having these emergency responses and having these scenarios in place helps ensure governments are ready for any outcome, whether it's a minor disruption or a major catastrophe. Change management is particularly important in the public sector, where new regulations, technological advancements, and changing public expectations often drive the need for change. However, managing change can be challenging due to the complexity of the public organization and its bureaucratic structure. For example, implementing new technology in a government office requires careful planning, communication, and coordination. Understanding the dynamics of organizational change helps public administrators effectively navigate these processes and ensure successful implementation. Resistance to change is one of the biggest challenges in change management. Employees or stakeholders might resist changes because they fear losing control or because they are uncomfortable with new processes. Managing this resistance requires clear communication and explaining why the change is necessary, how it benefits the organization and the stakeholders. Involving employees in the planning process also helps reduce resistance because it gives them a sense of ownership over the change. Support provided by the management in the form of training and resources is also another important factor in overcoming resistance. Successful change implementation requires a structured approach. Lewin's change model focuses on three stages, including unfreezing the current state, implementing the change, and refreezing the new processes to make them permanent. We also have Cotter's 8 step process, which provides a more detailed roadmap, starting with creating urgency for change and building a guiding coalition to support the initiative. Both models emphasize the importance of consolidating gains and anchoring the changes into the organization's culture to ensure that they last. Public private partnerships, or PPPs, are collaborations between governments and private entities to deliver public services or infrastructure. Structuring a PPP involves defining clear roles and responsibilities for both parties. The government provides oversight, while the private sector is responsible for financing, constructing, and operating the service or infrastructure. A good example is a toll road project where the private company builds and manages the road, while the government ensures it meets public safety standards. PPPs offer several benefits such as access to private capital for large scale projects and bringing in private sector in efficiency and innovation. However, PPPs also come with challenges. Contracts can be complex, and ensuring accountability in service delivery can be difficult. Balancing the interests of the public and private sectors is also crucial. The private sector aims to make a profit, while the public sector must ensure that the public receives quality services. Finally, risk sharing is a key aspect of PPP agreements. Governments and private entities must agree on how to share risks like cost overruns, delays, or regulatory changes. For example, in a toll road project, the private sector might take on the construction risks, while the government assumes responsibility for regulatory risks. Risk sharing mechanisms can include performance based payments, guarantees, or termination clauses that help balance the interests of both parties and ensure successful project delivery.